Welcome to Education in Focus. I'm your host, Eliana Kernodle. The FBI says it will not release the total number of swatting calls for the 2024 year, despite the persistence of calls that shut down schools and alarmed communities. Joining me to dig into this story is Chalkboard news editor Brennan Clary. Brennan, we've discussed swatting before. What's the latest?
Yeah, so first off, swatting, I should probably explain that a little bit because maybe some people have heard it, maybe some people haven't. I think if you are near a school district in the last year or, you're paying attention to school news, you probably have heard it because there's a lot of schools that have been affected by this, a lot of school districts. And essentially what it is when a hoax caller will call the police and say that there is a immediate, urgent, and high-level threat it doesn't have to be a school, but at a location with the intent to send a armed response to that area, usually like a SWAT team or a lot of different kinds of police that are all geared up and ready to go to create that high stress environment law enforcement response. So that's like definitionally what swatting is. It's a type of hoax call that does that. So instead of there's a different kind of like hoax threat where you call the school and you say like I've done this, and then the school has to call authorities and have somebody come and check it out. But usually, like with swatting, for example, school district officials will have no idea that it's coming. So then suddenly police are at their door and they're saying things, or they're calling the school and saying like, we've heard this, so we're headed there right now, like shut everything down. So it's very alarming. It's a lot of like high stress situations for police officers, for school districts, for everybody involved. And, with the unfortunate prevalence of school shootings in the news, that is something that strikes fear in an entire community. So it's a very unfortunate thing. And basically, there was not really anybody keeping track of swatting incidents or these types of hoax calls before last year. So that was in May of 2023. The FBI started what's called the Virtual Command Center National Common Operation Picture. So a lot of words kind of put together there. Basically, it's a way for law enforcement to submit swatting incidents to the FBI so that they can keep track of how many that there were. And so last year, the FBI told Chalkboard News that incidents of swatting had roughly doubled in the fall semester of the 2023-2024 school year. So it told us that since it's the beginning of when it started keeping track of that virtual command center, that there had been over 400 swatting incidents reported to it since May 1st. And in September, there was 200 incidents. So during that school year, during the 2023-2024, that first fall semester of the school year, the incidents had doubled. And so it's an interesting thing to see. And anecdotally too, there's a lot of reports of swatting incidents and how they've increased. So that's what we had as of that school year. We had some idea of how many swatting incidents had been tracked. And this year, we haven't gotten that. So that's an interesting change from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, that they were releasing that data to us, and then they stopped this year, and they didn't explain why. So I asked for the updated count, and they basically said, here's a boilerplate statement. And instead of offering 2024 year in review, or here's what we're doing, here's what we're tracking, they didn't give me any information like that, and they didn't explain why. So there was many follow-up emails that I sent just asking, hey, why not? Like, what's with the change? And so far have had radio silence from the FBI about its keeping track of that. And Senator Chuck Schumer has been a vocal proponent for keeping track of these kinds of swatting incidents, and had been calling for the federal law enforcement agency to track the number of swatting incidents. And so that's been interesting to see lawmakers kind of pushing on the FBI to keep track. Yeah, so we'll have to see if any lawmakers put pressure on the agency to release data for 2024 or subsequent years to kind of see if they can pressure them to be more transparent about this stuff.
Well, Brennan, thank you for your insights on this story. Listeners can keep up with this story and more at chalkboardnews.com.